Our next topic, ayan, so corollary to the presentation of Adrian and Denise will be all about lifestyle photography. Ayan. So our next speaker is none other than Pau. Pau has been in the photography business for about a decade or more than a decade. So she started in the marketing and advertising industry in 2007. She was an account executive at an advertising firm and eventually became a marketing communications consultant for a public relations firm. In 2011, actually, parang sabi niya, she started moonlighting as an events photographer. And then after that, sa sobrang galing niya, she got hired na sa mga successive events and eventually transitioned into lifestyle and event photographer. So her previous clients included MAC Cosmetics, account for brands like Ponds, Sunny's, Oreo Hotels La Union, and more. So Pau has an extensive photography career with her, and we are very lucky to have her here in our Live Local session masterclass for today. And also, some of you may have met Pau. She is our official photographer for the products in the Live Local PH project. No? So, yung mga makikita nyo sa website natin, si Pau po lahat nagpicture niyan. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome our next speaker on basic camera photography, Ms. Pau Guevarra.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Eds, for that introduction. It's very ang haba. Gulat ako. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing? Can you hear me clearly? Is yes. My voice? Okay, great. Okay, let me just okay, let me put my presentation. Sorry. Let me just share my presentation.
Sorry, Nina, can you give Pau access to share screen? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you co-host.
Right? Thank you.
Ayan.
Okay, wait.
Sige, let's take advantage of this session to learn a lot about phone photography. Ayan na.
Okay, guys. So the topic that they chose is basic techniques and tips on photography, but using your iPhone. So if meron kayong mga professional cameras, that would be better. But now let's focus on just using your phones. And actually, I'm using an iPhone. So if it's an Android phone, pag meron kayong mga questions later, baka lang limited yung maging answers. But anyway, so let's begin. So again, a brief background about myself. So yes, I've been a photographer for 10 years already. And before I became a photographer, I was working in the marketing and advertising fields. And actually, being or having this corporate background with me was a great tool for me to start photography because I used to do my own reports. I need to take photos of my events or my projects. And little did I know that those moments in my life were actually my training ground for photography. So in 2011, I started moonlighting as an events photographer. This was the time that I was still working with the events department of a publication company. And then eventually, I also studied fashion photography at the Fashion Institute of the Philippines. So I started actually really small. I used to shoot like a dance class of 20 people or booth activation in a college or university wherein we give in free magazines to students. And then eventually, I happened to gain traction from different brands and marketing people. And then years after, I started shooting fashion shows, balls, parties, brand launches, and the likes. And then also I did a few commercial photography for advertising materials. So, and then last year, the pandemic happened. So during this time, most of the events are not happening. They're all online. They don't need an event photographer. But I got inquiries from different brands, which also were my clients before. Because prior to the pandemic, I had a few shoots on products. But actually, I never promoted myself as a product photographer. I would always say I'm a lifestyle photographer and event photographer. But since most of my clients insisted that I shoot their products, I had a little, actually, it's just a little background on product photography. But it worked. And then this year, I practice more, especially during the pandemic, since we're all at home. I practice taking photos at my house. Actually, some of the photos like this one and this one, these are just taken here inside my house. With that, I just rearranged my place. And then and I think some of the brands that are in this slide are brands of our entrepreneurs present at the moment. So there you go. So okay, let's begin with the basics. So I assume that most of the brands that you guys carry are skincare, beauty, or food. So because my lecture is more focused on small items, because if you're gonna take photos of larger products, like for instance a furniture or a big electronic device, there's more technical aspect in that. So just a heads up. So first is lighting. So we have artificial and natural light. So obviously artificial lighting is the photo with the shoe, and the natural lighting is the available light that you have in your home. So if you have a studio setup like this one, as long as you know how to operate it, you can take photos anywhere, anytime. It's just that there are a lot of technical aspects. So depending on the look that you're going for. So I think we need a separate session for that if we're gonna discuss about studio lighting photography. So I think we're gonna focus more on natural. But if you want to achieve like artificial light and you don't have those extensive lighting equipment, you can always improvise. So this is just an example that I got from the internet. So as you can see, they just use a curtain. This is just a simple table. This is like a styrofoam box. So as you can see, you can be creative. You have to improvise, and you just have to research on you can find a lot of videos in the internet that will show you how you can shoot in your house with minimal equipment. So and then now we proceed to natural light. So as you can see, actually this is my place. This is my home. So this is where I usually shoot, on this window, because the light has this has a better lighting. So if you have big windows at home, if you have a balcony, if you have a garage, that is like the perfect area where you can shoot. But you have to familiarize yourself with the daylight or the behavior of the light in your house. How does it enter your house? Kasi like for instance, for me, my unit is facing an afternoon light. So tendencies in the afternoon, the sun rays are really, really strong. So if I shoot here, in the second photo, as you can see, super bright na siya. So the exposure level is really high. So this one naman is in the morning. So parang it looks like it's dim, but it's not. But it's just like the ample light. So when I shoot at around 10 to 2 p.m., so this is the same drawer that you saw on the previous slide. My photos would look like this. So I will just play this video. So this is how I shot it. So yeah, and I added a little, if you were there during the Live Local shoot a month ago, you would see na some of these items or these props, I brought it with me. So there. So as you can see, it's just, I don't need any artificial lighting for this shot. It's just like I just use the light that the available light that I have in my house. So there, and then I take a photo. So in the video lang, it's not the same quality because I'm just recording my screen. And then next is there. So between 3 to 5:30 p.m., the sun rays starts to come inside this side of my house. So actually, it's also nice to shoot at this time because it gives more texture and dimensions to your photos. So if I open the drapes fully, ang tendency is mag-overexpose yung product. So as you can see here, diba, parang sobrang bright na this part. But I will show you. There. So in the video, what I do is if you press the subject or where you want to focus, dun nag-a-adjust yung lighting. So if you press it on this, I'll play it again. So if you press it on the glass, as you can see, the items behind it, medyo nagda-darken na siya. So mas balance siya. And if you press naman on the props, sobrang lit na nung buong area. So that's it. So it depends on what look you're going for. But the good thing about using your phone, you don't need to manipulate a lot of settings. So you just have to familiarize yourself with how to brighten it, or that we'll also discuss later on. And then next is next is rule of thirds. So this is like the widely used compositional techniques to create aesthetically beautiful photos. So I placed the grid on this photo. I also took this using my iPhone. So imagine that your frame will be divided into 9 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, using 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines. So these lines will determine where to place or focus your piece. There you go. So your subject should be placed along the grid lines or at the intersection. But guys, you know, this rule naman, you can always break it. Whatever you feel doing is okay. But of course, for starting photographers, this can be useful or can guide you on the placement of your products. So just in case you don't have your grids on yet on your phones, this is how you do it. So you just go on settings and then you find camera. And then you just turn on the grid like I did here. So if you're using an Android, I'm sure you guys will also find the way to do it. Sorry, I don't have a guided video for that one. And then the next is perspective. Okay, so this is a diagram that I just found online. So there are different ways to angle your shots, but actually you can play around naman, whatever fits or whatever best fits your layout. So take multiple shots from varying angles, because this will show your customers exactly what your products look like. And then, so sample. So guys, this photo, sorry, I took it using my camera. So I use a top shot. So this is very common. It's like a flat lay. And then of course, I also took an angle na paside. So you can see the details, like how thick is the cookie, or you can also add dimensions with your props. So things like that. And then next example is this one, the bag. So I took an angle na high angle shot and a straight on shot. So it depends what details you want to shoot. Kasi for this kind of products, like it's a bag, so you don't really use it na naka-flat lay. So imagine how your audience or how your customers will use the product. So usually they want to see how big is the opening of the bag, or they want to see the details when it's placed on a table or on a chair. Next is styling. So it's important that your customers will envision themselves using your product. So put context on the layouts by identifying the key elements or the unique selling point of your product. So for instance, if it's like a juice so if it's a fruit juice, diba? So you can place like fresh fruits around it, so it will look more appetizing. And if it's like a clothing, so think what matches that color or how you will wear it. So don't be afraid to take inspiration from other brands. As long as you can tweak it and give your own translation to the style you're going for, that's okay. And usually also for product shots, if you were there during our product shoot, it's important to have pegs, because these pegs will be your guidance for creative direction. Also, it will save you more time because you already know what props you will use per product. So, okay, example of props. So as I've said, it has to be relevant to the theme. So this one, I'm taking a shot of vitamins, and this vitamins is made up of garlic, ginger. That's why there are these kinds of products here. And then we have here a beauty brand. So just make sure that it's relevant to the product just make sure the props are relevant to your products. Next is, okay, and then you don't have to be super ambitious, because the main focus of your photograph is your product. So you can always keep it simple and aligned to the color scheme and relevant to your scene. So here's an example of how I shot this one. Okay. So as you can see, it's very, very simple. I just use a mirror, a small mirror, and then a textured background that I just got in Lazada, and then dried flowers. So very minimal styling. And then make sure that you can see the brand name. And then I just bumped up the brightness a little. So there you go. That's it. And then details. Okay, sorry for my photo. I just think that this photo is the best example for details. So this dress looks very unique because of the tassels. So aside from shooting from different perspective, another option is to crop your product. So it doesn't have to be your photos doesn't have to show always the face of the model. So you can crop it the way I did it on the 2 photos on this side. So pwedeng nakatagilid, pwedeng nakaharap. So it depends on how you want to show it. And then there. So now we will start taking photos. Actually, this is better if it's live, like I can see you guys, so I can help you on the angles and everything else. So decide on your setup. How do you want it to be? What products are you looking for? So as you can see, this is as raw as it can get. This is not even a real table. I just have a meron lang akong parang plywood na available that I always use depending on the size that I want. And then I have like this textured paper that I got in Lazada and cartolina. And this is even my tray because I want to block the light coming from the window. So decide on your setup, decide on the props that you're gonna use. And then here's a sample, a walkthrough of how I take photos using my iPhone. So again, I'm just using cartolina and just a simple mirror. So I think you guys are familiar naman with this. We just I use the photo mode and then I zoomed it in on the product. So as you can see, if you tap it on the subject, there's like this lever that you can move up and down. So it depends if you want it brighter or if you want it darker. Because I want the product to pop out because I'm having a dark background on the sample. I want it a little bit darker and then I will tweak it na lang after. Aside from that, okay, this is another trick that I do. I turned my phone upside down because in this way, it will elongate the product. It will look bigger and I will get more of the reflection. So there I take a photo again. And that's it. I actually attempted to, then there's another angle. There you go. And then I also attempted to take a portrait shot, but I realized that it's too small, so it didn't work. So here are so this is how it looked like. So this shot, the one on the left, yung naka-upside down yung camera ko, yung phone ko. So as you can see, there's more reflection. And then this one naman is just like the normal landscape. So you can see the folds on the backdrop. At least on the other side, mas naka-hide yung mga chismis sa likod. Okay? And then here's another sample. So this is simpler naman. And the cookie is 4-day-old cookie. That's why it doesn't look appetizing. But I'm sure you guys have more better looking products than this one. So this is just like a normal shot lang. Wala akong any trick na ginawa. It's just that I placed some props beside it. So there will be more dimensions. So it can be flat lay and then it can be aside like this. Okay. So there you go. And then, so this is how the photos look like. So camera versus iPhone. So the photo on the left, I shot it using my camera, and this one I shot it using my iPhone. So as you can see, there's a difference in terms of vibrance and brightness. But you know, guys, you can always achieve the camera looking photo when you edit. So editing is like a different ball game again. I think we need more time to learn this, but I think I can discuss a little on how you can edit using some apps and just your camera roll. So okay, for apps, I usually use Lightroom and Photoshop, but this would like take us an hour or more to learn it. But just being honest, these are the apps that I use to edit my photos. So you can download whatever feels familiar to you. So there's Snapseed, there's VSCO. So I think maybe after this session, your assignment is just to download one editing app and check online or in YouTube on how you can navigate that. So familiarize yourself with the elements. So because you know it's really there are a lot of elements in it that you can learn. So here's an example of editing your photo using your camera roll. Okay, so as you can see, this is a photo. This is a photo that we shot a while ago. Okay, so you can always choose auto, so it will auto enhance your photo. It's just that kasi sometimes it's too much, so better to learn the other elements like this one, exposure. So you can just bump it a little since we have naman, it's already well lit. And then we have brilliance. Brilliance is also like how vibrant you want it to be. It's like vibrance also. So I'm just showing you the effects of these elements. So highlights, we have shadows. So guys, you have to play around. Just play around before you decide on what setting you want. And then contrast. And then we have brightness again. And then black points. So the darker parts of the products will be highlighted, will be adjusted, and saturation if you want the colors to pop out. And then there I made it a little, as you can see, very, very minimal lang yung ginawa ko on the editing because a little goes a long way. So you don't have to like over edit it. Just be careful. So like that, I don't place any tint on it kasi that will put a filter. Maybe it will work if it's a fashion shoot, but for products, you want it to look as organic as possible. So you won't confuse your customers on the color of your brand. And then, so there. Okay, so these, oops, wait, sorry. So this is the raw version, the one on the left, and the one on the right is the edited one. So as you can see, hindi na masyadong nakikita yung lines on the side, but there's still a little, but it looks more vibrant, it's more sharper. So I just use the normal set. I didn't use any app for this. And then you can also use the editing tool in Instagram. So I would like to assume that most of you guys have Instagram already. Okay, so there, as you can see, I think you're familiar also. I just bump up the brightness a little. So you can check, you can like play around what best fits your photo. And then structure. So as you can see, masyado siyang magiging intense yung line. So I just bumped it a little. Warmth is the white balance. So you can make it more yellow. You can make it more cooler when you put it on the left side. So I want it more warmer kasi syempre, it gives a feeling of daylight. And usually you eat this product on a daylight. And then again, color and the color and fade, the shadows and highlights, I don't usually use this because it gives filter, but it adds drama. So depends also on your feed. Parang if you're looking for having a specific filter for all the photos on your feed, that would work. Okay, there. And then next is shadows again. And then vignette is like, it gives like on the side, it makes the photo darker, the sides of the photo darker. So what I did to amplify this shot is I cropped it. It doesn't need to be like you don't need to show like the entire plate all the time, or then just focus on the details. That would also work. Okay, and here's the finished product of the shot. So there, so this is the raw, and this is like the one that you can post on your IG. Okay, so there, that's it. It's very, very short. So guys, I just have a few words of wisdom from known artists. So learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. So photography, they say, is a form of art, and there's no right and wrong in art. But like any other art forms, it still requires skills to master it. So research, read on, watch photography workshops, or attend webinars like this. It would really help you learn more about photography. But practice is not the thing that you do when you're good. It is the thing that you do that makes you good. So guys, you need to practice. Because kahit mag-attend kayo ng maraming workshops or manood kayo ng maraming YouTube webinars, it's just that it won't work if you don't apply it. So better apply it. You can start small, like take a photo of your coffee every morning. Like like kunyari this morning, take a photo of it by the window. The following morning, take a photo of it on the table or on your bedside. You don't know that's the start of you exploring your creativity. So it's best to always practice. And that's it. Okay, we proceed to Q&A for any questions.
Wow, thank you for that very informative talk, Pao, no? On a personal note, ang dami ko rin natutunan as in. And thank you for a wonderful PowerPoint presentation. No? So we have two questions from Ma'am Wit. No? First is, although nasagot naman siya, but about what's a great editing app that's free and easy to use for beginners. Which do you recommend among those na pinakita mo kanina on a personal note? And also for a beginner.
Actually, kasi for me talaga, I use kasi talaga Lightroom. Although kasi in Lightroom, there are free elements. Pero kasi there are some elements na hindi na free. So you need to purchase the app. I think Snapseed is also okay, and VSCO. Those two apps.
Snapseed and VSCO, yes.
Okay, VSCO, yes.
And the other question from Wamwit is, how often should a human element be part of a product shot?
Okay, how often? It depends on what product. Pero better kasi if there's movement on your photos also. So aside from taking photos of it na the product alone, so pwede yung may mga hands or may model. Pero depends kasi if it requires kasi like a person to be part of a product, diba? If you have a model, if you can model for your brand, great. But some products kasi would require a model if it's like clothes. So it really also depends on the budget. So, but human element, maybe better to always have a layout that is product and another layout that, a layout that's all product and a layout that's with the model.
All right, thank you for that.
Did I answer it properly?
Okay, from Miss Niha of Shine and Sparkle, for small products like accessories, is it okay to shoot in an open space like a rooftop, or indoor is better?
Actually, for accessories, I think better if it's indoor. And then if you need additional lighting, if you have a lampshade at home, pwede na yun kasi it might be too bright. Pero depends on the lighting also on the rooftop. If you take it like in a dim day, it's okay. Pero pag like if it's broad daylight or like mataas na mataas yung araw, it's gonna be like super overexposed. So better if it's inside the house. If you have a window beside it, I'm sure. And then kasi you have to zoom in the product eh. So it's better if you have a small light beside it para it can show the details more.
Thank you. And okay na raw. Got it. Thank you. So other questions from our participants? Siguro ako may question pa. How do I determine, for example, kung ano yung mga magagandang staple items to do a lifestyle shoot? I mean, when I say staple items, parang napansin ko dun sa arsenal mo, no? May ano kaya parang how do you know na this item, for example, a plate or a glass, how do you determine na ito yung parang magandang meron ka o ano yun?
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, that's what that's why I said parang research on the products, have pegs. So usually before I shoot my products, lagi ako nasa Pinterest. I always check on Pinterest like cookie photography or makeup photography. I always search on how other brands do it. It's not that I'm copying them. It's just that you need also guidance on what props to put. Kasi sometimes, I started actually, minsan na-overdo ko din yung styling ko na masyadong maraming elements. Then I realized as I go on that, little goes a long way. So for me, depends kasi on how it's very, very, styling kasi is very, very broad also. So you just have to look at what you have in your house. Kasi for me, whatever are on those photos are like my normal stuff. It's just, it's my normal plate, it's my normal. So sometimes hindi necessary na you have to buy styling products talaga. You can use whatever you have and then tweak it in a way na pwede nyo naman siyang dayain. Tweak it in the way na parang, what do you call this? Parang talagang you sourced it out from somewhere, but technically it's just your normal plate or your normal chopping board, things like that.
Oo, katulad ng setup mo kanina, sabi mo, nasa plywood siya nakapatong, no?
Yeah. That was an old table na nasira. Tapos pinatong ko lang siya sa chair. And then as you can see, ginamit ko pang block nung light is just my tray, my bed tray. And then I use cartolina, I use textured paper that I just get online. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like those expensive big setups that you see on commercial shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pao. Sige, nasagot na raw yung question ni Ma'am Wit regarding the rule in terms of number of props so that the product is not drowned. So great. Less is more, no? So focused on the product. From Ms. Jocelyn Reyes, for organic rice packaging, ano po ang maganda to shoot plain background or with background? Organic rice.
For organic rice, kasi that's usually, is that white? Diba color white yan? Minsan kasi lumulubog siya sa white eh. So maybe choose a different color palette like dark. Wag naman black. Kahit siguro like yung marami kasi ngayon if you go guys to National Bookstore, sobrang dami na ngayon options ng matte cartolina na hindi siya mukhang cartolina na normal na ginagamit sa school. Meron mga brown, dark gray. You can use that. Actually, I have a sample here pero dukatin ko pa siya. pero there are a lot of things that you can see on bookstores. And then also for rice, better siguro if you just kasi if you shoot it kasi with colorful background, parang hindi siya masyado, it doesn't look, di ba parang rice kasi is organic eh. So parang pag masyado na siyang maraming elements on the side, parang hindi na siya aligned on the theme. Well, it really depends, but it depends on your creativity. But for me, personally, I think it's better to shoot it on plain colored background, but nothing too colorful, parang ganun.
Pao, yung colored rice daw pala.
Colored rice?
Oo.
So, di ba red yun? Red rice, gano'n. O pwede siya sa white. Pwede siya sa white background. So, like what I did, like what I showed in my presentation a while ago, di ba meron do you want me to show it again? Yung parang kahit kahit mag-mock up lang kayo ng curtains or a styro background or a box, something like that.
Maganda ba, Pao, nasa bag pa rin yung rice, yung bigas, or dapat rice na siya, or yung bigas nasa labas na ng bag?
Okay, better to have an option with naluto na yung rice. Tapos better to have an option na yung hindi pa siya naluluto. Yung let's just put it in a bowl na hindi pa luto. Tapos magluto kayo later on. Tapos i-shoot niyo rin siya. You know, you need options anyway kasi it's also weird that you're showing a product na isang type lang, isang lang siya, isang layout lang, 'di ba? Parang so dapat meron talaga kayong parating options kasi imagine your customers are gonna eat those products. So dapat it looks appetizing also to them. And usually if you shoot a rice that is not cooked, it wouldn't look appetizing. So better to have options.
Tama. Another question is, what about mix of colored props? Do we have to strictly adhere to our brand palette?
No naman, but okay, for color palette, I think you're all familiar, di ba, yung color wheel. So, meron yan parang kung ano yung nag-intersect yun yung mag-match. But yun nga, better to research on stick on siguro 2 to 3 colors. Mga 2 to 3 colors lang. Huwag masyadong madaming colors. Pwede siyang different from your color palette, different from your brand's color palette, but make sure not too many colors. Para rin yung eye din ng viewers, hindi sila masyadong mako-confuse. So, mas better. Like, kunyari, look at the Live Local logo, diba? Hindi din ganun karami. It's just yellow, it's red, and blue. Hindi masyadong madaming color elements.
Okay, thank you. So we have 2 more questions, no? 2 last questions ito sa ating chat box in the interest of time. Pero kung yung may mga gusto pa magtanong, just chat in and perhaps Pao can answer them in the chat box, no? Pero dalawa na lang yung accommodate nating question. Number 1 is, as you mentioned po earlier about furniture as the product, ano pong magandang approach of photography for mga furniture?
Okay, for furnitures, better kasi if you really place it on like where, kunyari, if it's like a sofa, talagang nakaset up siya with the other furnitures. Or if it's like a table, a bedside table, nakaset up siya with the bed. Kasi, for me, kasi I also like buying furniture. So if it's online, di ba, you're so specific na kahit nakalagay yung dimensions, people would still want to see it on an actual. Kung paano ba siya, pag ilalagay ko siya beside my bed. Oh, yeah. So it's better talaga if it's not on plain background. It's better if you shoot it or nakasample siya or naka what do you call this? Parang sa mga real estate. Parang ganun yung yung feel niya. So
okay, thank you. And comment lang from Miss Geneva, no? Not a question, but just wanted to share, odd-numbered subject is visually appealing. And the last question, no, is it possible that products look good in picture but not that appealing when customers get it?
Oo nga, maraming ang gano'n na, well, guys, I think so what you're saying is like, pag nakuha mo yung product, hindi na siya same as. That's what hindi pala ganun. That's why I always tell you guys, don't use filters, don't overdo your editing. Kasi that's where the problem comes in. Because the people would say, like, kunyari, especially for clothes or bags, parang it's more vibrant on the photo in your Instagram, but when I got it, it's not, or it looks smaller. Kaya for me, better talaga better to shoot your products na lifestyle, with props, with everything, so they can envision it properly. Kasi at least there's like a benchmark on the side na parang okay, katabi niya yung baso, so definitely mas malaki sa baso yung food na yon, or dun sa slice na yon, something like that. So better to always shoot it lifestyle on actual. Imagine it that you're the one buying the product, na parang how you want, if parang put yourselves also on the position of your customers. Kung ikaw yung bibili, di ba? How do you want it to look like if it's in your house? Or if you're gonna use it, how do you use it? Like, kunyari, if it's like a lotion or a soap, di ba? Pag in-apply mo siya, ano yung feel niya? So imagine yourself using it also. Did I answer your question?
Great. Yes, yes. Thank you, Pao. Again, thank you so much. Palakpakan natin si Pao for a nice presentation on basic photography. Maraming salamat, Pao. If our participants have other questions, perhaps in the chat box, no, if Pao is still staying. Yeah. Anyway, we move on to our next topic. We have the basic copywriting, no, yung content and copywriting. So I'd like to call on my colleague, Janet, to introduce our next speaker, Miss Moon Danipog.
Yeah, okay. So Moon is actually a fellow alumna from Australia. So she's currently a social media and communication strategist at the Civil Service Commission. Yan. Ayaw niya na mahabang introduction eh. So let's welcome Moon.
Thank you, Janet. Hello, Live Local team. Hello, Eds, Mina. Ayan, and grabe, ang dami ko rin natutunan from the previous speakers. Ang gagaling nila. Sobrang saludo ako kay Pao kung paano niya diniscuss yung photography. Kasi I can imagine kanina kung paano kaya yun. Ang challenging naman i-discuss ng topic na to virtually. Pero grabe yung mga videos na pinakita niya. So, thank you, and also kay Denise and Adrian. I've been doing social media strategy for government and other non-government institutions. Pero nung narinig ko sila, Denise and Adrian kanina, parang breath of fresh air. Parang so nakaka-refresh. And I'm sure marami sa virtual room natin, marami ding nakuha doon. So, like I said, so I'm Moon Danipog, and hindi ako masyadong super expert talaga sa commercial side of social media and copywriting. But I also have my experience because my husband and I also have a small business, which is Geeks Burger House, and I understand where you guys are coming from, na baka kayo rin yung yung gumagawa ng social media strategy nyo, kayo rin yung nag-a-allot ng time to do like photography, graphics design, and of course social media publishing. And it can really take a lot of time from your end. So I'm gonna make this very simple lang and easy to grasp. So I still managed to put together a presentation wherein I will share like the basics of copywriting. And this is copywriting for social media. Kasi diba, the traditional copywriting as we know it, very much related siya to advertising or for the sole purpose of selling a product. But in social media, it's a different world. Like yung sinabi nila Denise and Adrian kanina, you can have varying purposes for publishing contents on social media. It can be to entertain, to inform, and ultimately maybe to syempre to sell your products, diba? So copywriting, simply put, is writing. It's the art or the process of writing or putting together words in order to persuade your target audience to take a desired action. No, so that's copywriting. And yung mga i-share ko in the next few slides are the basic principles that we have to keep in mind when we do copywriting for social media. Marahil yung iba dito na tackle na rin kanina na nila Denise and Adrian, but to give us a refresher lang. Sorry, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Ayan. Okay, thank you. So first is to know your audience talaga. Kasi again, as I mentioned a while back, very purposive yung copywriting. And knowing your audience is like winning half of the battle na. So sabi nila Denise and Adrian din kanina, it is the more specific your audience persona is, the better. Kasi mas alam mo kung kanino ka nakikipag-usap. So you have to ask the question kung millennial ba to, Gen Z, are they women? Are you selling your products to men? Or mga iba pa, no? And when you know your audience, it's a lot easier to connect and communicate. I think the same goes with with personal or face-to-face communication. Kapag alam mo yung kausap mo, you know kung ano yung gagamitin mong tone of voice, the words that you will choose. So, yan, very innate na yan. So, sa copywriting, it's really important to know who your audience is, also their values, and their pain points. Mamaya, itatakal natin kung bakit napakahalaga na alam din natin yung values and pain points ng target market natin. So, ayan. So, I have an example here. It's from Sinaya Cup. I don't know if you're familiar with these ladies. Alam ko karamihan
Yes, I am.
dito. Karamihan dito women entrepreneurs eh. So this might give us a very parang explicit example, pero ito yun eh, no, calling all uterus owners. Pag makikita mo siya, like nasabi mo na, hey, isa ako dyan, so what do you have to say? What do you have to tell me? So yeah, this is a very obvious example of really targeting outright, no, right off the bat, kung sino yung kausap mo sa social media post mo. So yeah. So for those who do not know Sinaya Cup, so they sell menstrual cups to women, and they advocate for making the switch from traditional sanitary pads to menstrual cups. So you might want to visit their page and check nyo, kasi I also love how they build their online brand. And then second is to know your purpose. No, so for every social media post, we have to be very intentional about it. Like, what is this post for? Is it made to convert your captured audience into buyers? Do you want them to click on that shop now button or send message button right away? Is it to educate them? Or is it to listen to them? Kasi pwede rin ganun eh. Pwede rin you publish a social media post that would spark a conversation, or that would ask your audience for their suggestions or their thoughts on a certain topic perhaps. So ayan, answering these questions will really, really help you to identify your call to action. So napakahalaga nitong call to action na to sa bawat social media post, because sometimes we just want to be told what to do. Like, if you come across a social media post, you ask yourself, so what do I do about this? So it's very very crucial na tayo mismo as copywriters, no, as social media managers ng mga platforms ng businesses natin, we know the intention or the purpose behind each social media post. So I got some samples here from some of you na nandito. So this one's from Sweet Snaps. Nakagutom, no? Parang merienda time na pala, no? So sabi dito, taking limited orders for Easter Sunday, available for only 400 pesos. DM us to reserve. I think this a good caption, no? The purpose is very clear, like letting the audience know that, hey, we have a limited offer and we want you to take this on now. You just have to DM us to reserve. Okay, and then on the right side we have from the Virgin Cafe. I really like this one kasi napakanta ako sa caption. Ooh, baby, I love you. Ayan. So, very witty caption. Pero still, the purpose is there. Sabi, yes, our ube cheese pandesal is now available every day. So, it's informing your target market that this kind or this product is available for grabs every day. Pero one thing is missing here though. Can anyone identify kung ano yung missing dun sa sa post ni Virgin Cafe.
The price.
Yeah. Pwedeng price. Ayan, sabi ni Geneva, yeah, call to action, no? So, if nakita ko to, sobrang natakam na ako. Pero, how do I grab mine? Parang ganon. So, better if merong call to action. Paano ako mag-order nito? Okay. So, next. Ayan, isa pa. From Legacy Street. So they sell products that feature by buy-in characters. And ang persona or yung voice na gamit nila sa kanilang brand is Filipino language talaga. Makikita niyo sa captions nila, pure Filipino. Sabi dito, magsisimula na sa susunod na linggo ang alamin baybayin ng legacy. So I think it's like a webinar or an online forum. And then the call to action is sumali sa aming official na Facebook community group. And then there's the link. Okay. So just by looking at some really good examples, matututo ka na to how to do copywriting or to put words together to structure your post para ma-lead yung mga target audience mo to take a desired action. And then this one is Jacinto and Lirio. Ito naman promotional post talaga siya, no. They're promoting the April 15 payday sale. Ayan. And then there's again the call to action is to visit our store at, and then put the link in there. Okay. So there's that. So first, again, know your audience, and then know your purpose, and then know your channel. So ano bang channel yung gamit nyo ngayon? Can I see sa chat din kung ano na yung mga platforms na gamit ng mga women entrepreneurs natin dito? Do you use Facebook, Instagram, Facebook page and IG mostly? No. Yeah. Ayan, thank you. So, I guess yun yung pinaka-popular naman talaga. Facebook is the busiest social media platform there is. And pagdating sa mga selling ng brands, especially karamihan sa inyo, you're selling food, ano pa ba? Something sa fashion line, and then grocery items. Ayan. So, very optimal na i-promote siya sa Facebook and Instagram. But when I say know your channel, I mean before copy pasting your text from Instagram to Facebook or vice versa, you might want to consider first their differences or yung mga nuances nila kasi medyo iba-iba rin. So for example lang no, sa Facebook, they say that the ideal post length is up to 80 characters, 40 to 80 characters, and when you post within this range of characters, you get like 80 to 86% more engagement than those posts na longer, no? So, and also if mapapansin nyo sa Facebook, kina-cut off niya yung post at 477 characters. I don't know, but maybe they also updated it or they changed it kasi parang when you enter into a new paragraph or mga third paragraph na, mas makikita mo na yung see more. Okay, so it is also important to be aware of this limitation or this characteristic sa Facebook so that you would ensure that the important details of your post ay nandun sa taas, no? Makikita agad ng target market nyo or ng mga audience, and hindi siya makakat dun sa see more if that's what you want. And then sa Instagram naman, sabi the ideal post length is 125 to 150 characters, and then cuts of post at 125 characters. Actually, mas reward ng Instagram then yung mas mahabang caption than on Facebook. I don't know why, pero baka dahil heavy on visual yung Instagram, and your audience might want to know more about what's on the visual element of your post. And then we go to hashtags. Hashtags can be very tricky. We can spend another another 30 minutes or 1 hour to discuss hashtags. Pero since ever evolving ang social media, nag-iiba-iba rin yung algorithm and approaches ng social media platforms when it comes to hashtags. But currently, no, yung up to date na tips sa Facebook, limit to 4 only, no, hashtags. And then on Instagram naman, while it can accommodate up to 30 hashtags, it's advisable to limit it to just 10 quality hashtags. So when we say quality hashtags, hashtags that are very relevant to what you are offering, to what you are selling, and can also be meron ding geo yung location, no, location hashtag. So halimbawa, support local. We use support local PH when we want to search for products or local products na nandito sa Philippines, right? So you might want to use similar hashtags, or yun nga, yung relevant hashtags to your product when you are doing copywriting. So hashtags make your product or your services more searchable online. So 'di ba sa Instagram lang if you try to search for halimbawa dessert Manila, dessert PH, ang dami nang lalabas diyan. And when you take advantage of using that hashtag, then chances are people can see your post as well. And then, ayan, common call to action. Actually, medyo similar naman din to, Facebook and Instagram. So, grab yours plus insert the link kung saan sila pwedeng mag-order, or grab yours by sending us PM, ganyan, or shop here. Another way to say to your audience na share this post is to tell your friends. Okay, and then PM us. Sa Instagram naman, link in bio. So, madalas yan. So, pwede yung sa Shopee link nyo, pwede yung ilagay dun sa link or dun sa provision na meron sa Instagram profile nyo. Or promo code on our stories. You can see our promo code or secret code on our stories. DM us. Yan. So, very native na sa Instagram yung DM us, no? While sa Facebook naman is PM us. And then ito rin, proven effective din siya when you use the phrase available only until or while supplies last. Ayan. So, these are just some of the sample call to action sa Facebook and Instagram. Pero marami pang iba. Again, it would really depend on your purpose, on the intention of your post. Basta mahalaga, meron kayong CTA or call to action sa end ng post nyo, or you can tell your audience what to do next. Okay. Kahit na ano lang yan, kahit na sharing an interesting article, your call to action would be read on, 'di ba? So, read on or tell others, mga ganyan. So, that's it for CTAs. And then, sabi kanina, may nagtanong kanina dun sa session ni Denise and ni Adrian about if it's advisable to establish a website na even if you're just a small or mid-sized business. And what they recommended is we can do away with website muna and focus on our social media platforms, existing social media platforms. So my advice for you is to treat your social media platforms as your landing page, no, or as your website. So let's take a look at how these brands, no, establish their Facebook pages as parang landing page na siya. So ibig sabihin dapat lahat ng important information, madaling makita. So, for example, this brand Jacinto and Lirio. So, they have a nice cover photo. Makikita mo na agad yung snippets ng products na sinesell nila. And then, they have this username, Jacinto and Lirio. And then, dito sa About section, they also included what Jacinto and Lirio is. So, yun, yung mga ganyang elements, no, if you haven't considered filling in those information yet, so you might want to revisit your Facebook pages and Instagram profiles para pag pumunta yung target market nyo sa mga platforms nyo, madaling makita yung mga information na to. And then this one's the website, or I'm not sure if you can insert here yung Shopee link nyo or Lazada link. And then phone number. Okay. And then another one. Ito nakita ko, si Shine and Sparkle. O, diba? So, sa cover photo pa lang, alam mo na kung ano yung product nila. And then, it also has this brief about sa About section. Ang ganda ng mga ng mga product shots ni Shine and Sparkle, in fairness. Ayan. So again, treat your social media platforms or pages as your landing pages and fill in those important information. And then this one, you can also take advantage of the pinned post. So pagka-scroll down ni client or ni customer, makikita niya na agad yung campaign nyo or the hero product that you are selling. So here, there's a good infographics here about why you should switch to menstrual cup, and then there's the link to their website. Okay. So I'll go back to my slides. Ayan. So, common copywriting framework. So, hindi ako masyadong magde-delve into writing kasi it's really a whole set of skill, no, to learn. So, it's good copywriting is really founded on good grammar, no, and good storytelling din. And ito, mga common copywriting frameworks that I'd like to share with you are some guides that you can use on how to structure a good copy of your social media post. So ito yung madalas na ginagamit. For example, you start with problem or yung pain point ng customer that your product or your service can solve. No? So you can start with stating the problem and then agitate, meaning cite some instances or some situations that might happen if they aren't able to address it, and then present the solution that that your product or your service can offer to your customer. Okay. Similarly, pwede rin to features, your product features, is it eco-friendly, ganyan, advantages, and what benefits can your customer get from your products. And then this one, AIDA, no, very common common acronym sa marketing and sa funnel designs. So I guess na discuss din to kanina nila Denise and Adrian. So first you get their attention, no, or their awareness, and then in terms of copywriting, that would be your headline or the first line of your copy of your social media post. And then spark interest. What is it about your product that that would pick their interest? And then incite desire for the customer to actually buy your product. Or you can like equate this to agitating, no, dun sa problem agitate solve. You can agitate and give specific situations na pwedeng mangyari if they do not solve their problems. And then give the call to action. Like if you want to earn this or to get advantage of this limited offer, then what should your customer do? And then also, ito rin, medyo similar din naman, your relevance to your customers, the value that that you offer to them, and then call to action. So those are the common copywriting frameworks or structure that can guide you in crafting your social media posts. I think this nag-work to sa mga medyo complex na product or yung mga very new sa market or those with advocacies behind it like Sinaya Cup or what else. Yung kaayo which sells yung Mindanao fabric, and then very fashionable very fashionable items. Pwede ring maging framework to for doing a copy for that. So yun. Okay, and then this one, pasadahan ko lang, no, like what makes a post contagious, because I got this from the book Contagious by Jonah Berger. So, ano nga ba ang qualities ng isang post na that would compel people to share to others? So, first is yung social currency. What is social currency? It is that something or that feeling that you give to your clients or customers that make them feel good about themselves kasi sa inyo lang nila yon nakita or nakuha. So it can be a very valuable post from you, a very informative or educational post from you, or a humorous post. So ayun, if your post is something like that, it would make people feel good about themselves and proud about themselves na alam nila yun, no? Or they know about your unique product, and that would make them share that post to others. And then second is yung trigger. Ito yung pwede mong insert, you can insert a trigger on your product or your brand depending on what your product is. For example, if it's a dessert, halimbawa, no, weekend can be a trigger. Why? Because for those people on a diet, for those people on a diet, weekend can be like a cheat day for them. So you can pitch your product to your customers like that also. Or summer, no? Summer is also a trigger if you're selling swimwears, 'di ba? So, ayan. And then emotions. If your post trigger certain emotions, dun sa study nila Jonah Berger, it's about ano talaga yung extreme positive emotions like excitement, surprise, and extreme negative emotions like anger or frustration. So, posts that evokes yung mga nandun sa spectrum na yon, um, they are more likely to be shared to other people. And then public, if you're if you're if you want people to wear your product and really show your products off to others, to their friends, thus making it really public and observable, no? Then that's what can make your post also contagious or shareable. And then also practical value. If you insert very practical value on your post or say something about your product that would make people want to share it to others, to help others, kasi sabi innate daw talaga sa tao, innate sa people to help other people, no, to help others. So if you inserted something like that on your copy, or associate it with your product, then that might be something that people would want to share to others as well. And then stories, very important to stories. Other brands would take advantage of testimonials from their customers, no, yung from their customers experience, no. Sabi nila Adrian kanina, very in ngayon yung user generated content, and it's really true. So if you have the chance to get positive feedback from your customers or your clients, then you can ask permission. You can ask permission if okay lang ba na i-post yun. Pero I think marami naman wouldn't mind eh. So especially if it's a positive feedback. So tell their stories and make those stories your own then as a brand. Yeah, and then ito siguro pinaka-practical is to imitate and do better. So makikita niyo naman na ayan, may mga good brands talaga with good copies, and you can simply imitate their formula or their structure and tweak it, or edit nyo lang yung details. Like this one, si Pat G Furnitures and Woodworks. I think okay na to. Big and small bread boxes are now available. And then they included the Shopee link. And then Bite Size PH. And just a good chocolatey dream packed in every cube. And then the price. And then call to action. Ayan. So, napakita ko na yun sa inyo. So yeah, sabi nga ni Paula din kanina, practice lang. So start practicing your copywriting now. Maybe you can start by, yun nga, imitating and doing something better for your brand. Ayun. So yeah, I hope you guys got a thing or two from that presentation. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moon. That was a great presentation. Thank you, no? Ang dami ko rin natutunan about what's the content, and especially yung how to make your post contagious. Tama nga naman, no? To draw in the attention and para kumalat din siya. So the floor is now open for perhaps the 2 to 3 questions from our participants. Ay, sorry. Ito pala, si Ma'am Wit. Can we get a sample of the same message but rendered using the 4 approaches to copywriting? Can we get
sample of the same message
but rendered using the 4 approaches to copywriting?
Meaning, sorry, medyo hindi ko na grasp.
Hi, sorry.
Ay,
Sorry,
sige, ma'am.
Moon, if
It's okay.
it's not too much to ask, but okay lang din iba-ibang samples. Pero kasi kumbaga parang isa lang ang gusto mong iparating sa kanila because you're really just promoting one product. Pero parang feeling ko lang parang mas truly ma-appreciate ko tong 4 na copywriting framework kung may isang sample lang ng isang produkto lang na iba-iba yung ginamit na ano. Kasi I would surmise, Moon, na yung pagpili mo nung kung anong framework ang gagamitin mo, depende talaga sa target market, di ba? Oo.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly po. And it would also depend on the intention of your post. Like, what do you want to get out of that post? What do you want your target market to do after reading your post? So, you can just pick one framework, and then stick with it. And then, yun nga, paulit-ulit ako, pero mahalaga po yung call to action at the end of each post.
Pero Moon, I have a question related to that. Kung gamitin mo naman yung 4 na iba-ibang approaches para lang i-test mo yung response naman nung target market, kung saan sila mas nagre-resonate.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea po, Miss Wit. Tama ba, Miss? Miss Wit, yes.
Yep.
Katulad din nung sinuggest kanina nila Adrian and ni Denise, like you can do A and B test on your copies or your Facebook ads for that matter. So you can also do the same with copywriting, like same message or same call to action, pero iba yung ruta na dinaanan ng copy mo. So you can do that po to experiment how your audience will respond to it.
Salamat, Moon.
Thank you din po.
Thank you, Ma'am Wit. Miss Jerby, naka-raise hand po.
Hi, Miss Moon. Question lang.
Hi.
I remember dun sa slide kanina, you mentioned for Instagram that it's ideal for you to only use 10 hashtags. And then I remember also during
Up to 10.
Yes, ideally, di ba? Tapos sa module naman ni Miss, gosh, I always forget her name. Yung nasa
Miss
module
Denise.
na Miss Denise. Si Miss Denise, sabi niya, I clearly remember naman, it's 2 to 3. Tapos, years back, I remember it was 30. So, you also mentioned 30 kasi pwede. Pero merong idea na 2 to 4. Bakit merong ganong parang disclaimer? What's the reason behind that?
Yes. Actually, I think as long as your copy is on point, there's no really like fixed ideal number of hashtags to use. Kasi yun nga, nasabi ko kanina, pa iba-iba ng algorithm and mga approaches yung social media platforms. And sobrang bilis talaga nila mag-iba. Pero, if you have, I think if you have 2 or 3 quality hashtags, that will do as long as yun nga, very spot on yung copy mo and your call to action to your audience, then you should be fine regardless of the number.
Thank you. I have a follow-up though. Kasi diba, if you are choosing hashtag, and I think this is one of my weakest links to choosing hashtag, do you have to choose like the international ones, or for example, aromatherapy? Do you have to choose aromatherapy, or you should rather choose aromatherapy PH kasi nasa Philippines?
Yeah, but, ang recommendation po talaga doon is to make it more specific and more closer to your community, to the community that you're trying to reach. So, kasi if aromatherapy lang, I'm guessing like there are like hundreds of thousand posts out there and sobrang taas ng competition na kapag sinearch ni customer yung hashtag na yun. So, I think it's better to have a location specific hashtag also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Siguro one more and then proceed na tayo sa ating next talk. Or if you want, you can type in again,
Si Miss Elaine.
Si Miss Elaine, yes. Do you want your hashtags to be unique to you or more common?
If you are a starting brand, I would suggest na use one that is more common. So, example, support local PH. And then you can opt to come up with a unique or a branded hashtag of one of your own, no? Na masabi mong hashtag namin to. Like share a Coke, halimbawa sa Coca-Cola, share a Coke. That's their unique hashtag. Pero yun nga, if starting pa lang tayo, wala pa tayo masyadong fan base or hindi pa masyadong malaki yung community, then you might want to pair that branded hashtag with a more common one. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for all your questions and thank you so much, Moon, for your lecture on copywriting. No? May mga napulot kaming mga ideas and tips then on how to create our content online. So
thank you.
Thank you for that. Perhaps if our participants have more questions, you can type it in the chat box. And Moon, perhaps if you can say just a little bit kung may mga natitira pang questions yung ating participants. Again, thank you. And I'd like to, itong susunod natin, we now move on to the next topic. It's all about basic graphic design, no? Sabi niya, wag na daw natin siyang i-introduce. Wala nang intro. But the next, our next speaker is None other than from the Live Local PH team, we have Miss Mina Akram.
Hello,
Go,
everyone.
Mina.
Sorry. Sige, I'll share my screen. So today I'm gonna be talking about basic graphic design. So, but just a little bit, paano ba to i-minimize? Okay, so a little background about myself. I'm not really a graphic designer, but I graduated with a degree in mass communication. So I used to be involved in TV production as a creative writer, production assistant. I did a bit of floor direction. But I also did media related jobs when I was in Go Negosyo. So I did parang a basic na photography for the organization since it's an NGO, so it's relatively small. Video editing, and then media relations. But everything was self-taught. I didn't have formal trainings or formal marketing experience. I'm no expert. I'm self-taught. So it's up to you kung ano yung gusto nyong makuha na parang tips from me. Siguro I would like to consider myself in the same position as you kasi lahat tayo dito like wala tayong formal training. So as much as possible, I want to share how it happened or how I was accustomed to sort of designing. So yeah, basically I just want to cover some areas. So very practical and quick. Graphic design principles so that you know or you have this in mind whenever you create content for your social media and for your marketing efforts, given that the past speakers have shared yung mga strategy din as well. So this time around, we're gonna visualize it in a content. I'm also gonna be discussing some of the content creation tips that I personally use and are proven to be like if you Google like mga graphic design tips, these are the areas na usually sinasuggest that you need to focus on. So like elements, use of images, use of icons, spacing, distribution, colors that was discussed as well by Pao kanina. And then siguro tahal ko lang a little bit on messaging. Sa dulo na siya, like parang how do you build a suitable story that will complement the copywriting area that was discussed by Boom. And then play with words kasi sometimes you also need to put a bit of like information in the design element that's totally different from the content or the copyright of your post. So yeah. So these are theoretical. So I got this from mga graphic design articles. So according to that, there are 6 main principles na ginagamit for graphic design. And these are the items that you need to remember whenever you create or you're in front of the computer and trying to design your social media cards and anything that you want to share to your audience sa social media. Number 1 is unity. So this refers to the relationship between elements. Ano-ano yung mga elements na nakikita nyo within your design or within your content. So you can actually drill it down further to yung concept ng proximity or pagkakalapit-lapit ng mga elements dun sa content nyo. Similarity or pagkakapare-pareho ng mga bagay na nakita nyo dun sa visual design. At repetition or ilang beses inulit-ulit para magkaroon ng certain parang kumbaga flow or like parang consistent na elements dun sa inyong graphic design. Totality is the wholeness of the design. Parang kapag nakita niyo yung isang visual element, it gives you a visual closure or kumbaga naintindihan nyo what the design parang really wants to portray or to say to you. Like it can be like a picture of a product and then may konting description and then meron siyang price. So basically, ang visual closure doon is you're telling me about your product and magkano siya with the intent na okay, possible na pwede ko siyang bilhin. Space, it's very self-explanatory. It's as is. It helps you create a sense of cleanliness in the design that you are building, clarity, focus, and then attention. Kasi the way you space elements together, magkakaroon tayo ng sense of like ano yung flow within the visual design. Dominance, this is also a principle that you can use when you want to create a focal point. Meaning, there's a certain element in your design that you want your viewers or your eyes to be directed first kumbaga sa isang visual element, saan siya unang makakatingin or ano yung una niyang makita doon. And then from there, pwede niyong i-direct na yung message across dun sa entire visual design. Second is if you're trying to design naman something na more of informative or like parang ano siya, more of like yung type ng social card nyo ay informing your audience about a certain set of facts or certain information about the product or the business, you can use hierarchy. Hierarchy meaning you structure the information sort of like more of like related to dominance wherein ida-direct niya kung ano yung unang babasahin ng readers nyo and then yung next set ng information na nandun sa visual design. And lastly, balance, because you want to arrange everything in that particular design in complete harmony so that it all blends together. There's harmony within that particular visual design. So yun yung mga items na kailangan yung tandaan whenever you're faced or whenever you're creating something, kahit sa phone nyo lang or any design tools that you are using whenever you create a visual design. So for example, I would like to talk about brand elements. So kanina na-discuss ni Denise and Adrian yung fact about building your own brand, a strong brand online. And when Live Lokal was starting, it was also the first part of the activities na ginawa namin is to establish our own brand and our own story. Kasi di ba sabi nga ni Adrian, it's very important that you know kung ano yung storya ng brand mo and like ano yung mga elements that contributes to that story. So for us, we built a brand element or a brand brief for Live Lokal PH. And basically, yung story behind our branding is inspired by the weaving community in the Philippines because we want to to capitalize on the interconnectedness of businesses in the Philippines. So yan, inspired by the weaving community. In terms of colors, we use the primary colors. And inspired din siya by the colors of the Philippine flag. So just to represent because we want to promote the buy local or we want to promote the buy local mindset in the Philippines. So we use yung shades of red, yellow, and blue. And then we also designed or like we have identified parang fonts that would contribute or parang fonts that are reference whenever we create visual design na ito lang yung nakikita namin every time na meron kaming design na ginagawa. And yung fonts na to are, kumbaga, sophisticated siya but easier to see in the eyes at hindi siya intimidating na tingnan or basahin. Tapos, so yun yung mga brand elements that we have identified. Siguro ang tip ko lang sa inyo is focus or find some time for your brand to, really establish ano ba yung mga brand elements within your story, within your business na pwede nyong i-package in such a way that this will be the reference for all of your visual designs so it remains consistent from start to end. So yan. Tapos, ayan. Siguro, before I proceed with the other elements, yung isa lang din siguro na tip na pwede kong maibigay sa inyo is whenever you use or whenever you design your brand elements, make sure that you're using like high resolution images, high resolution na even text. Ibig sabihin malaki yung work area na pinag-workan nyo whenever you use some design tools so that whenever you design something na of different or varying sizes na depende sa requirement na kailangan nyo, hindi siya nagpe-pixelate. So ano yung pixelation? So like pag in-stretch out niyo yung logo, hindi nagbabago yung quality ng edges ng mga images na nakikita nyo. So like, isa ring important tip that I can share with you is make sure that your brand elements or your logo are rendered on a PNG format. PNG, ibig sabihin, I don't know the exact meaning of PNG, but yung PNG is wala siyang parang hollow yung background niya or wala siyang solid background dun sa logo. So whenever you use a PNG element or a PNG image, ibig sabihin kahit saang background nyo siya ipatong, magsa-stand out yung logo nyo. So like for example, this Live Lokal, if I put it against white, it's clear, you can see it. If I put it against a colored area of the screen or the slide, makita pa rin siya. So if I make it black, magsa-stand out pa rin yung logo nyo. So yeah. Um, Most of you naman would have like mga logos na, but later on I will show you some or a website that you can actually explore and check para gumawa kayo ng sarili niyong logo. So yeah. Okay? So other elements that you need to consider whenever you create visual designs, yung mga nakikita nyo within the actual material. So photos, as mentioned kanina, and it was also reiterated by Pau, yung photographer guest natin, is, you know, human interest speaks a lot because it makes your product or your whatever you're selling real, because there's elements of, you know, human and reality into it. So you can use your own photos whenever kung nag-invest kayo sa mga lifestyle shots, or later on I'll show you yung saan yung mga areas na pwede kayong maghanap ng mga images. Another way that or another visual element that you can use whenever you design something is the use of icons. So icons ito yung great way to segregate list whenever you have listicles in your post or your brand design, or if you want to visually interpret a thought pero ayaw nyo nung mahabang caption, pwede nyo siya kasing daanin sa icon. Baga tapos ano rin siya, it's ngayon kasi lately parang mas madaling mag-communicate into like images compared to text, para madirect yung eye ng mga viewers nyo or yung mga subscriber nyo into a certain point within that brand design. So yeah. Additional elements that you can use: solid background. As much as possible, ako personally, I'm not a fan of like gradients and super colorful backgrounds. If you have identified your brand element and your brand colors, you can use that as a base for all of your backgrounds. But you can never go wrong naman with black or white kasi it's clear, it's clean. Other elements that you can use whenever you design something are line shapes and patterns that you can add to, you know, to the overall design for texture. So usually yung mga flat images, kapag meron kang nilagay na line or shape, parang na-differentiate yung design mo because it adds another element that provides texture to that overall image. So yeah. And syempre, of course, colors. Colors that was also mentioned by Pau earlier. Whenever you try to do styling, because colors are very important. Parang it adds color technically to your design. And you can refer back to the color wheel. So this is readily available to any website. Type nyo na yung color wheel and you will see ito yung parang wheel around the primary colors. So yung primary colors natin are yellow, blue, and red. And then usually ang technique dito sa color wheels is for you to find yung combination ng colors that will work. It's either the ones yung side by side. So like usually green and yellow work together. Blue and red, or red and yellow para orange. So pwede siyang something that complements one another, like magkatabi sila sa color wheel, or you can also use contrasting colors whenever you design. So like for example, you can use a combination of red and green. So both elements would stand out in your design. Pwede rin siyang blue and red, di ba? Maganda yung contrast ng isa't isa. Pero if you want na medyo harmonious siya and medyo, kumbaga parang nag-flow yung color elements sa design nyo, pwede nyo gamitin yung side-by-side dun sa color wheel. Like somewhere na yellow and then a lighter green shade. So yeah. So tips for graphic layout, I think yung mga pwede nyo gamitin is yung allow your elements to have some breathing space. So later on, I will show you an example. Because as mentioned kanina dun sa design principles, it gives a certain set of like clarity and focus in your design. Second is you can never go wrong with the white and light colors against a black or dark text. So very important yan. Whenever you design, kung ang background nyo ay white or light color, make sure that the elements are somehow darker para hindi siya kinakain ng background nyo. Same with photography. Kung rice yung kinukuha na natin, as mentioned kanina, white rice, parang medyo off naman kung white din yung background kasi nawawash out na yung element ng rice or the product itself. And it can also be a reversed one. Like you can use a black or dark background, but make sure that your text and your elements are somehow light and bright para mag-stand out siya dun sa background. So yung background talaga, as in ano lang talaga siya, background. Third tip is an alignment matters. Ako, very pet peeve ko yan. Ayoko yung mga, like, kunyari sa PowerPoint, hindi pantay yung isang text to one another. Because it also allows your eyes to, like, have continuity whenever you read or try to appreciate the beauty of the design. So, usually, yung way to design is, parang, remember how you see or how you read. Because naturally, yung mind natin are conditioned to read from left to right, and then left to right, and then pa down. So, ganun yung sequence din no the way we read images. Because, so, ang tip ko dyan is, kung gagawa kayo ng design, make sure na ganun din yung flow ng mga elements na gusto nyo makita at yung sequence ng mga elements na yon na gusto nyo maparating dun sa audience nyo. So, if you want to share something, so dapat yung mga unang elements na gusto nyo makita agad ng audience nyo na sa medyo upper left, para pag binasa nila, continuous yung flow na para lang silang nagbabasa ng book or ng material. Highlight key areas. So, in an actual design, you can actually highlight key areas or yung dominance na principle. You can use that. Kung meron kayong element sa visual design nyo na gusto nyo talagang makita at mag-stand out, pwede nyong lakihan or i-highlight yung area na yon by probably using a bordered, colored border dun sa actual element. And then lastly is be inspired by the designs that appeal to you. Kasi as mentioned, very important yung pegs or yung inspiration for designs na talaga nag-a-appeal para sa inyo. Or probably designs na nag-a-appeal sa audience nyo based on the metric ng mga social media posts nyo na mataas yung engagement. So I think I would like to go to one website that we've been using. I think some of you are very familiar with this. It's called Canva. So it's founded by, a woman entrepreneur as well, si Melanie Perkins from Australia, who's also as a Filipino blood. So Canva is a free website that you can utilize for your graphic design needs. So you just need to create an account with Canva. It's actually free. And you can fully maximize all of the features dito sa Canva site. So this is the Live Lokal Canva site. So I just made it this morning, and it's a free account. But if you have some money to spare, I can also recommend that you upgrade your your membership to a pro account, because yung pro account, mas marami siyang functionalities na pwede nyong ma-maximize dito sa website nito. And one example of that is yung brand kit. So brand kit kasi makes it easier for you whenever you design. So pwede nyong i-upload dito yung mga brand logos nyo, yung mga logos nyo na naka-PNG format. And then you can actually identify or create your own palette based on your brand identity. So at the same time, you can actually, upload fonts. If, for example, meron kayong in-invest na brand design or brand kit, pwede yung i-upload yung font dito. And then you can even upload photos that you want to appear in all of your brand designs. So ano yung advantage nito? Usually kasi yung brand kit, kapag available siya on the pro account, pag nag-design kayo, pwede nyo na lang i-drag and drop all of your brand kit elements here sa post nyo. So, ayan, pwede kayong maglagay, nandito siya usually, pwede kayong maglagay ng anything dito. Pero, assuming that we only have a free account, so this is how you can maximize yung functionalities ni Canva, no? So, si Canva, there are a lot of elements available here for free. Number one, you can actually maximize yung photos. Hindi kami sponsored ng Canva, by the way. You can actually search photos, and you can actually do a keyword search. Like, for example, if you want a photo of a coffee shop, so pwede nyong i-type yung coffee shop, tapos it will show you parang pictures ng coffee shop na pwede nyong, probably ito, pwede nyo siyang gawing background. So like that. Make sure lang that you're using a free image. If you have a free account, for example, ito pro pala siya, so tanggalin ko to, pwede ko tong gamitin. Ayan. So we can actually just use coffee beans kasi coffee related yung product na binibenta nyo. Yan. Tapos you can also search for elements like icons, as mentioned ko kanina, shapes, frames if you have images that you want to upload, and kung meron kayong, pwede rin kayong mag-search ng mga GIF or yung mga moving designs or icons. And meron ditong functionalities ng mga grids or charts if you want to show charts for your social media post. So for example, yung Canva has a very rich parang database of icons and elements that you can search. Like for example, you want to put an image, an animated image or like a drawing image of a cupcake that you're selling, wala lang, as an element. So you can actually search for different design icons here and then you can put it here. Tapos, ayan. Other elements that you can use is shape. So these are customizable, by the way. So you can use circles and then you can change the color here in the color button. And then you can use yung mga colors dito suggested. You can use yung itong RGB code. If you have the RGB code of your brand element, you can just type it in here. Or you can just randomly choose ano ba yung sa tingin nyo would complement the background. Probably a lighter one kasi medyo dark siya. So yan. Other elements that you can use are itong frames. So usually yung frames, if you want an image to be embedded in your design, you can use this. You can just click here, and then kung meron kayong photo, pwede kayong mag-upload ng sarili niyong photo, or kung wala, like kunyari gusto nyo mag-post ng actual picture ng cupcake, kunyari yung cupcake product nyo, you can actually select that and then put it in that particular shape. So yan. So pwede niyo itong tanggalin, pwede niyo ilagay. So, kunyari wala na ito. So, up to you kung paano siya i-utilize. Other elements, para rin siyang sa photo, you can use filters, you can adjust the colors and the contrast and even the brightness of the photo if you want it a bit darker, if you want contrast high, if you want to change the tint, though I don't recommend it. Other elements that you can use, text. So, dito, meron tayong mga suggested na mga text. Hindi na siya, ano yung sa Microsoft Word dati, hindi na siya ganun. So you can actually utilize yung readily available na na templates here, or you can actually create just a simple text. So you just need to add a text and then you can modify it. So you can type or cupcake. Okay, so yeah. Pwede nyo i-type. So there are a whole range of functionalities that Canva can offer to you. If you don't want naman ditong photo na to, you can actually choose a random background from their background database, and you can actually change the background of your social media cards. For tapos Canva is also pre-designed with the different sizes that usually are being used for the different social media platforms. You just need to create ano yung gusto nyo or kailangan nyo for your design need. So like for example, if you need an Instagram post, if you want to create a graphic design or a poster about your latest product, you can actually choose it an Instagram post. So yeah, pwede kayo mag-create. Okay. Next website I would like to share with you is called Noun Project. So this website actually offers icons naman. So if you are yung design style nyo will be more of iconography or infographic, yung mga gusto nyong i-release or i-share sa mga audience nyo, you can actually use this. Again, you can use a free account, but ang limitation lang ng free account is you have to acknowledge the name of the designer of the icon. So for example, I have a pro account, no. So I'm not recommending it kung hindi niyo siya masyadong ginagamit. So you can actually type keywords here as well for you to be able to get icons for your social media post. Like for example, if you want to if you're selling COVID related products, you can actually do a COVID search and it will show you millions of icons that's readily available for you to download. And you can actually customize yung different na design. So medyo lang siya, medyo linear lang yung limitation dito sa Noun Project because lang siya, line lang. Compared to Canva that you can actually have 3D or 3D types of icons na merong siya, may depth. For this to online lang talaga siya. But you can customize it further. So like for example, if you want to click it, you can actually change the color of the lines to anything that you want. You can actually have ito yung none is plain background, meaning PNG image siya. Pwede ka rin magkaroon ng colored na background in a circle, and then you can customize it to, you can do white or green, so it complements, kunyari Pasko, ganyan. So yeah, those are the two websites that I highly recommend that you start exploring for your graphic design needs. So going back, and before I end, siguro ito lang yung share ko lang sa inyo, yung mga areas na palagi kong pinupuntahan kapag gusto ko na inspiration. So for images, you can actually go to Canva. There are a lot of free images for your free account that you can use for your social media posts. I also noticed yung mga speakers natin use Canva for their PowerPoint presentations. So if you have presentations for your potential partners, you can also use Canva. You can actually go to Google, like for inspiration on the type of image that you want. Like for example, if you're gonna shoot a product photo, you can actually go to Google for inspiration, or Pinterest as mentioned by Pau. Icons again, non-project. It's also highly recommended that you go to some of the famous advertising sites or websites, or go to pages of the brands that you love. Like for example, if you're a bakery or a bake shop, probably your peg is, or your inspiration be like the likes of French Baker or Wildflower Bakery. You can actually go to their site and check out how do they do yung mga social media cards nila or social media posting, and gain inspiration from that. And then you can actually have themes for all of your social media posts if you want it like business. Like for example, for Live Lokal, we try to limit it in a way na medyo informative siya, at the same time hindi kami masyadong naglalagay ng mga strong colors in our social media posts. Other themes are available in Canva. You just need to have to explore the site. So I guess that's it for me, Eds, unless you have questions.
Thank you so much, Mina, our very own Miss Mina Akram of the Live Local PH team. So the floor is now open for your questions. Ang dami ko natutunan kay Mina, especially yung color wheel. Oo nga naman, no? If you want your colors complementary when you design your social media cards. So questions from our participants. There is an ongoing discussion, no? Si Miss Beth daw, Mina, kakailanganin niya yung tulong mo. Hirap daw siya mag-edit.
Sobrang user-friendly ng Canva. So I recommend Miss Beth, you create a free account and then explore lang din po kayo nung mga themes. You can actually type a theme and then magbibigay siya ng results. Tapos pwede niyong kopyahin na lang yung entire theme, or pwede niyo siyang i-customize by adding a little bit of like shape or color, di ba? So
daw siya. Subscribe siya sa
naka-pro.
Exactly. Thank you, Moon, for your comment. Na-refresh din daw si Moon dun sa color wheel. And also, Moon shared with us yung sa Canva that we can subscribe to Canva professionally sa premium if we have an educational institution. Yung .up.edu, parang gano'n.
Yes.
And also, yeah.
Actually, kung meron po kayong mga kids na nasa school at may school account, pwede kayong mag-subscribe to a pro or a premium account.
Thank you, Romina. Waterloo daw ni Miss Elaine yan. Yung graphic.
Wala na po, medyo nag-extend tayo, but if you have questions, you can just ping us at Live Local. I can answer naman kung meron kayong but again, I'm not an expert, but if you have if you need expert advice, we also have volunteers na pwede natin tanungin.
Yes. Any burning questions right now? Going once. Oo, kasi medyo nag-extend na tayo. So going once, going twice. Questions from the participants? Thank you daw for the noun project, Mina, from Miss Jerby. Sige. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, so questions. So mukhang wala ng questions from our participants. So I guess okay na. So anyway, sabi nga ni Mina, if you have any questions, you just chat the Live Local PH Facebook page or send us an email, and Mina will be replying from there.